We are recording.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela, for the thumbs up, or the hands up, the wave. Great.
So we right now should all be working on part 1, section 1. Let me share my screen so we can all work on it together. And remember, these are thinking questions, not necessarily looking for right or wrong answers here.
Selena just came in.
So the Selena.
I believe that it's the Selena T.
The Selena Torres.
Hi, Selena.
Hi.
Selena, if I call upon you to read or answer a question today, would that be all right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Selena.
Selena, we're working on checkpoint 5 right now. And we'll just give about 2 more minutes for people to finalize their thoughts on the do now questions. Miss, I'll be back. I'll be right back.
Okay. You ladies need any help with this first part? Everybody all set? Take another couple of minutes. Those of you who came in late, we're doing the do now questions, which are the first questions under part 1.
I am back. So who wants to read that first question for me in section 1? Oh, looks like Giselle wants to do it. Okay.
Not a girl.
Whether it's sorry, I'm eating Cheetos right now. Okay.
Cheetos. Your hands are going to be all orange.
No, miss, they'll be all right. I read the section right here, right before the questions.
Yeah, why don't you read where it says read, and then you can read the first question and maybe even give us your answer.
Okay. All right. I said whether it's no, I didn't. Whether it's convincing a voter to change their mind or simply compelling them to participate in the election, campaigns advertise with the goal of sparking a reaction in their audience that will lead to some form of action.
Mm-hmm.
What type of choices in an advertisement might an ad maker or politician make to convince a voter to change their mind? I said they might do things that make the opposing side look bad, make their site look very interesting by adding videos and very active songs in the background.
Nice.
Excellent. Excellent.
Giselle, what kind of things would a politician do to make another politician look bad?
They would post like in the videos that we seen and stuff, like how Biden and Trump and stuff, they would post like stuff that makes them look bad. So like for Biden, they posted that the protesting was like something bad for them, like something like that. Y'all know what I mean, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I do know, and I think you're on like a really great track. And we've seen, I think you're right. We've seen things like Biden. Remember the video we watched where Biden listed out the net worth of all the people sitting in that meeting with Donald Trump? and we saw, we'll look at an ad actually on Thursday where a senator just lists like all the times the incumbent or the other senator voted against the president. So those are really good. Could you talk a little bit, Giselle, about the music, like how you think music helps people change their mind?
So let's say, for example, like I make a video, right? And the video is based off of like something sad. So I would, in the background, I'd make like a sad song like play while I'm playing the video or while I'm explaining the video or something. But if I'm trying to get a reader or a viewer's attention, and I definitely would want to put like something energetic, like, I don't know, maybe like, yeah, I don't know, just something that's gonna like, make the reader want to keep focusing on watching the video and stuff.
Okay. All right.
Something that'll catch their attention.
Yeah.
What was
Angela,
that?
do you think you could read that second question for me?
What type of choices might an ad maker or politician make to activate or get a voter to actually vote?
And how did you answer that question?
I would say it's almost the same thing as the first one.
Mhm.
Get something to try to encourage them and try to say things that to like make them want to vote.
Yeah, do you think though, or does anyone think that they're like, what are the sort of subtle differences between an ad that like convinces you that this is the right person to vote for?
One of them is more direct.
Okay, Giselle, which one? So help me understand that. Which one do you think is more direct? Like
The
the one
second
who
one is
changed
more
someone's
direct because
mind?
they're, oh, I'm sorry, what?
No, go ahead.
The second one is more direct because it's like, it's the actual person. So it's first point of view perspective, because the first one is basically just a way to like, so like I said, let's bring up the Biden and Trump example again. So a lot of people voted for Biden, but see, people wanted, well, somebody made that video to make them want to like try and change their mind to try and vote for Trump. And some of the reasons, like they pointed out some basic reasons as to why they should vote for Trump.
Sure.
But then the second question is basically like, if I were Biden and I'd be like, oh, I think you should vote for me because this and that.
Mhm.
Something like that. Like,
I see. I think I totally understand that, right? So there's like more of a developing of an argument to change their mind, whereas to activate them, it's like a direction. That's a really interesting perspective. So listen, as we are working through the rest of this document, and I want us to be thinking about those things, because we're going to answer these same questions, but looking specifically at different ideologies. I know this is at least the second and probably even like closing in on a third, right? What we have been talking about political ideologies. But it's really important for us to understand what all of the different subsets of people in America want in order to truly and deeply analyze videos, right? Like the ads that politicians are aiming at Miss I are different from the ads that are being aimed at me, that are different from the ads being aimed at you, that are different again, even from teachers and students and parents living and working in Florida or Kentucky or California. And so we're going to look at some really broad spectrum thoughts, but that zero in a little bit more on what the sort of main political groups think and want. So let's see here. Could we have, who's next? Selena, could you read the passage in section 2 for me?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, Selena, what happened?
Sorry, the baby was crying.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, we don't mind babies crying.
No?
Progressives usually embrace freedom of choice in personal matters, but advocate for significant government, what's that word?
Coercion.
Coercion to control the economy and redistribute wealth. Progressives tolerate alternative lifestyles and generally favor a government-funded safety net to help the disadvantaged or to reduce wealth inequality. Most advocates rigid regulations of business as well as strict environmental regulations. Progressives support government actions to promote equal opportunity, but can be divided on questions of free expressions, particularly when expressions is thought to traumatize victims of past injustice.
Mhm.
Do I read all the way to the bottom?
Sure.
Okay. Famous progressives include Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Senator Bernie Sanders, and filmmaker Michael Moore.
Mhm.
The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much, it's whether we provide enough for those who have too little.
Mhm.
Franklin D. Roosevelt, 32nd President of the United States.
So Franklin Roosevelt was president during the Great Depression, which up until 2008 was like the worst recession our country had ever seen. And in the 1930s, early 1930s, we didn't have any of the kind of protections that Obama had to steer us through that recession. And all of them, or most of them, were put in place by Franklin Roosevelt, who is often upheld as one of the great progressively minded presidents. And those other people you've probably heard of, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's often referred to as AOC. Bernie Sanders, as you may know, just ran for president recently, and is now the chair of the budget committee. And so I expect some major changes in how we as a society allocate public money. And then the filmmaker Michael Moore is a guy who has been making documentaries that push back on everything from like political injustice to the right to own and bear arms. That was the movie that launched him, was called Bowling for Columbine, and he like did a really deep documentary on school shootings and how easy it is for kids to get firearms. We're gonna watch an ad right now from AOC when she was first running for representative. And so I want us to be thinking about what Selena just read and sort of the things that progressives want. I want you to be thinking about those as we watch this campaign ad. And I also want you to be thinking about what sort of choices do they make that convince you to come vote for AOC, or convince you to convince you to vote for her, and then the ones that like actually get you to come out and vote, right? So this idea of like what convinces you and what activates you.
Clayton was diagnosed with a very rare form of leukemia. Women like me aren't supposed to run for office. I wasn't born to a wealthy or powerful family. Mother from Puerto Rico, dad from the South Bronx. I was born in a place where your zip code determines your destiny. My name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'm an educator, an organizer, a working class New Yorker. I've worked with expectant mothers, I've waited tables and led classrooms. and going into politics wasn't in the plan. But after 20 years of the same representation, we have to ask, who has New York been changing for? Every day gets harder for working families like mine to get by. The rent gets higher, healthcare covers less, and our income stays the same. It's clear that these changes haven't been for us, and we deserve a champion. It's time to fight for a New York that working families can afford. That's why I'm running for Congress. This race is about people versus money. We've got people, they've got money. It's time we acknowledge that not all Democrats are the same. That a Democrat who takes corporate money, profits off foreclosure, doesn't live here, doesn't send his kids to our schools, doesn't drink our water or breathe our air, cannot possibly represent us. What the Bronx and Queens needs is Medicare for all, tuition-free public college, a federal jobs guarantee, and criminal justice reform. We can do it now. It doesn't take 100 years to do this. It takes political courage. A New York for the many is possible. It's time for one of us. Vote for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on June 26th.
At 4Ocean, we understand that wearing a face mask.
Okay. So let's think about what were the choices that you saw in there made by the ad maker, made by AOC herself, that would convince someone to come in, that would convince someone to vote for her instead of the other guy?
When she was talking about like the low income and her going through it and stuff.
Okay, so she talked about experiencing low income. And what does that do, Selena, do you think, for a voter? When a politician talks about like where they came from, particularly if they came from, you know, a lower income family.
Not like motivated, but kind of like connected to them because they have similar experiences with life.
Good answer.
I think that's great. That's a really good answer, Selena. Okay. What are some other choices that you saw her make that might convince you to want to vote for her?
Where did we see her most of the time? Where was she shown?
In New York.
The train?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
New York. She was in New York in the streets, on the subway. She was where New Yorkers are.
Selena, that is really great. You said her attitude and tone about things. Like, can you expand on that for me?
Like when she was discussing the water, how she said that like the conditions of the water that he never experienced. Her tone of voice, attitude changed from her explaining her life to her explaining that, and then what she was saying after.
Good
So
observation.
what did you, when she said that, Selena, like how did that make you feel?
I don't know how to explain it, but like it kind of made me feel bad because I've never went through bad water quality,
Mhm.
but like I know people who have, and like how it affects them and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay. So let's switch gears for a second. What did you see in the ad that maybe would inspire a voter to come out and vote for her, right? So we've talked about the things that would convince you to come vote for her, right? That she connects to you as a voter. You've had similar experiences. She's like a person of New York. She's on the train. She's out in the streets. She has like a seriousness about what she's talking about. Was there any image that you saw in the ad where you were like, oh, I would definitely vote for her if she was running to represent me? She's confident. Thank you, Miss I. Miss I, could you talk a little bit about why seeing a politician be confident would inspire you to come out and vote for them?
Well, I think she looks like she's one of the people. She's at ease where we're seeing her in the ad, on and off the subway, on the streets. She's smiling and talking to people. She carries herself with confidence. She looks like a New Yorker. She looks as though she can take on the competition. She's spunky. And it shows, and that shows in her, that gives her confidence. It shows her as being confident. And I want my leaders to be confident. I want them to be able to express themselves and take charge. And you do that by conveying, as you said earlier, Selena, attitude. You know, her attitude is one of, I'm in charge here, or I could be.
Okay. So there's like an emotion that she's like conveying to you, right? This like, she is confident, she has this attitude.
She's got a real, I've got this attitude.
Yeah.
Also, she's not like cocky and like throwing dirt on the her opposition's thing.
That's a good point. She's behaving herself.
What she'll do.
Yeah, she's behaving herself. She doesn't need to do that. She's confident in her own ability.
Okay. Okay. That is great, everyone. So I just put in the chat our answer to the first question. And I'm putting now in the chat our answer to the second question. So take a minute, make sure you get caught up. I think, Nick, you just joined us probably maybe while we were watching that video. So we are working on checkpoint 5. Can you just let me know when you have checkpoint 5 pulled up, please? And folks, if you let me know in the chat or give me a thumbs up or something so that I know when you have section 2 here completed and we can move on to section 3.
Okay, Angela, thank you for your hand.
Oh, I need my participants list up.
Ellie Beth, thank you for your hand. Giselle, thank you for your hand.
And Angela just chatted me. Okay, so when you're ready, let's scroll down to section 3 here. And maybe Angela, when you're ready, could you read section 3 for us?
Okay. Conservatives tend to favor economic freedom, but frequently support laws to restrict personal behavior that violates traditional values. They oppose excessive government control of business, but advocate for government actions that defends their ideas of morality and the traditional family structure. Conservatives support a strong military, but otherwise oppose bureaucracy,
Bureaucracy, yeah, good job.
and high taxes. They otherwise believe firm law enforcement is necessary to maintain social order. Famous conservatives include former Vice President Mike Pence, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem,
Mhm.
and actress Candace Cameron Bure.
Yep.
Bure. I am a conservative in large part because I believe that politics should intrude on life as little as possible. Conservatives surely believe that there are times that the government should meddle in the daily affairs of the people, but they normally reserve those times for large questions of right and wrong, good and evil. Columnist Jonah Goldberg.
Thank you, Angela. So this is on a sort of political spectrum. Progressives and conservatives are on opposite ends. Most people fall somewhere in the middle, right? So whereas progressives are looking for major social reform, progressives are looking for major controls on business, looking for major restrictions on environmental controls. Conservatives tend to be very pro-business. They want the government to be involved as little as possible. They don't care too much necessarily about conserving land or other environmental processes. They don't necessarily believe there should be social programs like welfare or SNAP. And some go as far. I actually was listening to the Koch brothers lawyer today. She was talking about how she believes, and through her, they believe that there should be no minimum wage at all, and that the minimum wage as it's set right now is like adversely affecting business. So we see a lot of pro-business, a lot of pro-military images. We also, when they're talking about moral, the morality, they're talking about gender equality. They're talking about marriage equality. They're talking about the right to choose versus pro-life. Those are like the big ones, right? It's like abortion and gay marriage are probably the two biggest, most like in our face moral issues our country is dealing with, particularly if you're a conservative. So we're going to watch a conservative ad right now. And I want you to think about the things you see that might encourage someone to vote conservative. And then I want you to think about the things you see that might encourage someone who is a conservative to actually come out and vote.
In a new land under God's grace, our patriot founders planted the seeds of liberty. Cultivated with care, strengthened by sacrifice, freedom flourished. America thrived and our people prospered. But today, change is in the air. A whirlwind from Washington has swept into Indiana, and our Hoosier homes, livelihoods, and liberty itself are threatened. After years of runaway federal spending, borrowing, bailouts, and takeovers, people are scared. And while it's easy to give way to despair, there is hope. I've seen it in the faces of neighbors who've lost their jobs, but not lost their faith in America. With the right leadership, we will drive out this storm, because Hoosiers still cherish freedom and the ideals of our founders. But this is the moment. Now is the time. I know we will reclaim our liberty, because every time freedom gets an up or down vote in the heartland of America, freedom always wins. I'm Mike Pence, and I approve this message.
So what did we see? Let's think about that. What did we see in that ad that might convince someone to come and vote for a conservative? And what did you see in that ad that might make a conservative voter come out and vote? I'll give you about 1 minute to just jot your ideas down, and then we'll share out our thoughts together. Miss I's already throwing ideas out there in the chat. Thank you, Miss I. There was a confidence and energy throughout from Yuzel. So we're looking, we got about 30 more seconds here. Think about the images you saw, right? If AOC was in the city, where was Mike Pence's video? He used a lot of different words than AOC did.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say the way that he like approached and talked about things.
Right, Selena.
So Selena, can you expand on that? What was different about his approach that you saw?
I felt like it was a little more subtle and not more like upfront and honest.
Oh, okay. Can you can you think of one image or one thing he said that you felt was a more subtle message? At least compared to AOC's?
Like he was showing like the main street, the farm, like the land, as opposed to her video when she was showing like the neighborhoods and
Yeah,
the boy station and all that.
The other thing is, who were the people in these ads? Who were the people in the Mike Pence ad? What do they look like? You remember?
Weren't they like not cowboys, but like white people dressed as farmers
Yep.
type?
Yeah, they were all white people, right? Is that a message?
Yeah.
I think I would probably see all of you nodding your heads right now if you had your cameras on.
And who were the people in the other ad? Who did we see in that ad?
Wasn't it a diversity? Bless you. Wasn't it a diversity of races?
Yeah, I
Like-
mean, there was a little bit of everybody in that ad, wasn't there? I think that there was a great deal of diversity in the first one. But in the second one, not so much.
Miss I, you pointed out that he showed the flag. He featured it like very early in the ad, and I think several times throughout. Why do you think that is important to conservative voters?
Well, I think conservative voters want very much to protect the old notion of their America. They are patriots. They feel that they're patriotic, not that the liberals don't, but it's symbolic of safety. It's symbolic of tradition and the known, what is known, and who built this country. And it fortifies that, along with everything else in his ad, which were the farmland, the local diner, local people. However, again, if you get back to who these people were, do they really represent America? They represent part of America.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was actually going to transition us to the next question. Like, what things did we see that would maybe get a conservative voter to come out and vote for Mike Pence? I'll tell you that the thing that I picked up on is he uses the word faith to open his ad, right? And religion is a major motivator. Certainly here in America right now, and quite honestly throughout all of history, religion has been one of the greatest tools to motivate people to do something. I haven't heard from
Nick?
Ellie Beth or Crystal, and feel free to share your thoughts in the chat.
And how about Nick? We get something from Nick?
I think about, what did you see in that ad? And I think that I understand that this one might be a little bit harder, right? Because it's not, we are certainly not, well, I guess I probably am Mike Pence's like target audience, right? Like I am a 35-year-old white man, and I am probably exactly the person Mike Pence thought would come out and vote for him. But we as a group are not necessarily, right? We're from New England, so we tend to be a little bit more progressive. Many of us know or work with or are people of color, right? So we relate better, I think, to AOC's ad. But was there something you saw from Mike Pence that you think would motivate people who are already of a conservative mindset? I hear some typing. I'm hoping that's someone putting something in the chat. Oh, damaged corn that once thrived. Miss I, could you expand on that? Like why do you think that's a major motivator?
Well, I think it's not something that was verbal, but it was very visual, that this was the result of spending, bailouts, too much public assistance, too much public dollars going for the implication in areas where they should be supporting themselves. Too big government, they don't like big government. And the damaged corn reflects on the farmer that this is waste. And I think it implies that it's waste.
Oh, I think that's great. Take 30 seconds, everyone. I did post the things we just chatted about in our chat. So feel free to copy and paste those as you need to. And then when we're ready, Nick or Yazel, would you mind reading section 4 for me? And you can read it on my screen or your screen. It doesn't.
My bad. I was filling out the other thing.
That's okay, Yazel.
Okay. Wait. Hold on. Okay. Moderates tend to prefer a middle ground. Regarding the use of coercion and the government control. Wait, what is it? Corrosion.
Corrosion, you said it right.
Oh. Whether of the economy. Oh my goodness.
All right, I do that all the time.
Oh my God, I'm just gonna restart because it's so okay. Moderates tend to prefer a middle ground. Regarding the use of coercion and the government control, whether the economy or a personal behavior, depending on the issue, moderates think government intervention is warranted based on pragmatic considerations. Moderates pride themselves on keeping an open mind and oppose what they consider to be political extremes. Instead, they emphasize what they regard as practical government solutions to social problems. Famous moderates include former President Bill Clinton, Senator Susan Collins, and actor Matthew McConaughey. McConaughey. Be practical as well as generous in your ideas. Keep your eyes on the stars, but remember to keep your feet on the ground. Theodore Roosevelt, 26th President of the United States.
Theodore Roosevelt, I'm going to get on a soapbox for just 30 seconds. But Theodore Roosevelt is often considered a moderate president because of how much like moderating he did. He was president in the early 1900s, and there was a tremendous amount of like corruption happening, a tremendous amount of really bad policies in terms of like employment and trade and regulation. But from where I'm sitting personally, he was actually very progressive. He is the one who started the national park system. He garnered a lot of deals between labor forces and employers. He's, I believe, the first and maybe the only president to assist in a labor strike with a coal mining industry.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right, Ms. I
believe so.
Okay. What we're gonna watch right now, an ad from, that's actually Susan Collins. She's the senator from Maine, and she is a well-established moderate. She is technically a Republican. That's the party that she belongs to. But she is one of the few Republicans who over the last almost 20 years now does not always vote with all the other Republicans and will often vote in line with Democrats. So let's watch this.
You can take the girl out of the county, but you can't take the county out of the girl.
Susan is a county girl, just like me.
This is where her roots are and why she'll never change.
A county girl is loyal, dedicated, working until the end of the day to find a solution that benefits all.
Susan is a common sense problem solver.
She respects me and is willing to listen. It's just the main way.
She has the work ethic of the county.
Susan comes from a family that understands small business. She never forgets our jobs or the people of Maine.
She's never missed a vote. She's never forgotten where she came from. If Susan says it, you can take it to the bank.
She's honest. She's true. She cares.
I vote for the person, not the party, and I'm voting for Susan Collins.
She does what's right for Maine and for America.
She loves our state, she loves our county, and she loves our people.
She's a county girl.
I'm Susan Collins, and I've approved this message.
Okay. So let's bring it back over here. We only have a few minutes. So why don't you take, the ad is boring. Giselle, let's talk about that though for a second. Why
they
money?
Just kept mentioning, like, what was it? The cow. No, it wasn't cowgirl. It was, wait, what was it?
County girl.
County girl. They just kept saying county girl this, county girl that. Like, shut up.
Well, what's the message in that?
They're trying to make you be a county girl, basically. Like, I got the message.
Why do you think, oh, that's not what I want to say. Why do you think, Giselle, that a moderate who's like kind of in the middle, well, not kind of, like is purposely trying to be in the middle, might have a boring ad compared to
because they're like straight to the point.
Conservative.
Like they already know that, I don't know, like if I was moderate, it'd mean like that I can get there. Like I know that that's what they're gonna want to hear, this and that. Like something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think like boring is maybe what people want.
Right.
And I heard this really great interview on NPR this summer that talked about like that's what's gonna win this thing for Joe Biden. And he actually was talking about how, I don't know if you remember, but Trump kept referring to Joe Biden as Sleepy Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And this reporter was like, I think people want Sleepy right now. Like they don't want someone who's going to jump on Twitter and just start lambasting people. They don't want someone who's going to come on air and just start saying whatever they want. They like want someone who's like maybe tired and boring. Like maybe tired and boring is exactly what this country needs right now.
Well, maybe boring equals safe.
Mm.
You know, he's not daring. He's not, adventurous. He's safe. He's one step at a time. I want to be safe right now.
I like adventures.
You like adventurous? What are some other thoughts that might convince someone to vote for a moderate? Like what else did you see in this ad? And maybe think about, what were there some similarities to Mike Pence's conservative ad, or were there some similarities to
I mean, the video wasn't boring. Like the whole transition between like the people talking and stuff. I guess you can say that was attention calling and stuff. Like it was good. It was just this whole county girl this, county girl that. Like it was the voice and stuff.
So there's like a repetitiveness.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought a thing that really struck me, right, is she's a Republican, but everyone in her ad, or most people, when you saw her talking to other groups of people in particular, they were all wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
And masks are something that this fall became heavily politicized. And so there were many Republicans who were like, we don't need masks. We don't want masks. And she's a Republican, but she's like, no, I think masks are like an okay thing. Right. So there's this image of the middle ground.
But again, who were the people in her ad? Who is she talking to in Maine? County girls, yes, we know that.
But who were the county girls?
They seemed like they were like family. I don't know. Like they were really.
Okay, so county girls they're women with families. Did they seem to you to be like, business executives or lawyers?
Nah.
Or were they more like, were you like, oh, that lady looks like, every grandma on my street?
Every grandma on my
More
street.
like they should be like, I don't know. Some of them to me look like they should be, they're not running like a Fortune 500 company, but they're like probably make some really good chocolate chip cookies or something like that.
And in the end, what do you really want?
True. They also generally were older.
Mm-hmm.
So in our last 2 minutes, let's think about this last question. Like, what might make you come out and vote for someone who is a moderate?
Hey, they have experience.
Experience.
They definitely have a lot of patience.
Giselle, could you expand on that in our last minute here? How do you know?
I mean, putting up with me, my mother definitely has to have a lot of patience. So yeah. Yeah, that's how I know. Because we be some bad A kids, so.
How do you know she's experienced?
I mean, she has 4 kids. I'm not trying to put her on the spot right now, but she has 4 kids. The first kid, I know she wasn't prepared because that was like unexpected. I mean, you could be like, oh, like, yeah, I'm ready for a kid, but then when you actually have it, you're actually not ready for the kid. Like, you don't know what to do and stuff. But by the 4th one, trust me, she was ready. She was ready.
Okay.
She knew what was coming to her. She knew the basic stuff, like what to do, when the baby should be fed, like just, you know, the stuff that a mother needs to know.
I think that's like a really, I'm going to write that down, that she knows what a mother needs to know. And I think that's like, this is really good. What we have looked at today, I'm going to put these answers in the chat. What we have looked at today is 3 sort of political ideologies, right? We've looked at progressives, and we saw them running on this like air of confidence, this like kind of fixing things mentality. We saw conservatives who are running on, they want to keep things the same, right? Like we saw a lot of like Americana images, the American flag, we saw wheat fields. And then we get to moderates, and moderates are like, they're boring, but maybe that's what people want. They're showcasing their experience and patience. They're showcasing their families. I don't think that Mike Pence, I don't think AOC has any children, right? But
I don't think so.
AOC didn't show, she showed images of her parents, but like not her siblings or her husband. Mike Pence, I don't think showed, I think he had an image of his wife, but he didn't show his 2 daughters at all. Whereas that's a really good perspective there, Yazelle, that Suzanne Collins like showcased her family right at the end. That's her kids and grandkids sitting on that rock holding all those Susan Collins posters. So take a minute, make sure you've copied all the answers that you need to. Make sure you flesh out your answers if you need to. I'm sorry we didn't get to section 5, but you should be able to do section 5 on your own. You're just going to watch that video. And, oh, I'm sorry. We're not even doing section 5.
Yeah.
We did all the things I wanted to do. Section 5 and section 6 are extensions. So if you're interested in this and you want to look at them, go for it. If you're not, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I know it's 2:02 and I'm going to let you go. But when we come back on Thursday, we're going to do a real deep analysis on one particular ad. And this will act as an example for you to do a real deep analysis on another ad. And that should all prepare you to complete the final product, which we will launch next Tuesday on the 23rd.
I want to thank everybody for participating today. This was a great class, and it's always wonderful when we get those student voices. So thank you all for reading, for participating, for asking questions, and for making us smile.
Folks, thank you so much, and I'll see you on Thursday.
So I'm going to stop recording.